Thank you for providing that opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, I am coming from Multan, and the last 2 days I was out in the streets in the pleasant temperature of 47 degrees centigrade. So forgive me if I'm not very coherent. But the only person in this room who can appreciate what I'm saying is Ambassador Jilani, who is from Multan and knows exactly what I'm saying. He spoke as a very seasoned, well-trained diplomat. I am not a diplomat, but I am the chief diplomat of Pakistan. But today, since you have said we have Chatham House rules, allow me to be frank and candid and be less diplomatic. The Foreign Office gave me a very well prepared, very correctly prepared statement. I will not stick to that, simply for the reason I think the issue in Afghanistan today is political, and the solution that we are advocating is a negotiated political settlement. So I would prefer to speak as a politician who happens to be the foreign minister. So allow me that room. Ambassador of Afghanistan is here, and he made his remarks. I am grateful that he has acknowledged Pakistan's positive role. Thank you for doing so. And I'm in agreement with him when he says that you cannot have violence and negotiations at the same time. I tend to agree with that. We have to. And Pakistan has been advocating reduction in violence leading to ceasefire. I have done it in my bilateral meetings. I have done it with the interactions that I've had with media and with other diplomats all over, because I actually believe in this. The ambassador mentioned the recently convened ulama meeting in Pakistan and Saudi Arabia. Ulama of Afghanistan and Pakistan participated in that, and there was a declaration. And the declaration supported negotiations and condemned violence. And they did the right thing. They did the right thing. And this is what I expect from any enlightened alim, who has an eye on the situation in the region. I am glad that the ambassador of Afghanistan has acknowledged the usefulness of this mechanism called APAPS that we negotiated for months, and today we have this mechanism in place through which we can discuss any and every issue that Pakistan and Afghanistan jointly face. So that reinforces my point that I have been making repeatedly, that public statements that vitiate the climate are against the spirit of APAPS. And allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to share with you that the recent statement of the National Security Advisor of Afghanistan disappointed me. And I'm putting it mildly, disappointed me. and I will not dwell on that any further. Christian Turner, our High Commissioner, has very rightly said that this is a pivotal moment. Cannot disagree with you, sir. Cannot. Thank you for acknowledging Pakistan's constructive and positive role in the peace process. And I want to share with you, ladies and gentlemen, I was in New York for a different reason, and I had an opportunity of interacting with a number of congressmen over there. And I believe there's an Afghan delegation that'll be visiting Washington perhaps third week of June. What encouraged me when I was in Washington and I interacted with congressmen and senators, I saw a very positive change in their approach. And let me quote Senator Lindsey Graham, who said, and I'm quoting him, that today in the United States we are looking at Pakistan not as part of the problem, we are looking at Pakistan as part of the solution. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a paradigm shift in approach. And I, as the Foreign Minister of Pakistan, appreciate that. Ambassador Christian, High Commissioner mentioned the role of women in Afghanistan. And I think that's a very important role that women in Afghanistan are playing, can play, and should play. Why do I say that? I say that when I look at Pakistani women playing their role in Pakistan's politics, in Pakistan's parliament, in the civil service of Pakistan, and we are proud of them. We have produced some outstanding civil servants, judges, doctors, engineers, women. And today, when I go to Parliament and I see our women parliamentarians participating in legislative work, the other day I was leading a delegation of Pakistani parliamentarians engaging with the European parliamentarians, and the contribution made by women parliamentarians I was proud of. I was proud of. So, having said that, we cannot in Pakistan overlook the important role of women in Pakistan. And if I do not want to overlook the role of women in Pakistan, how can I be supportive of a role of women in Afghanistan? They cannot be. 20 years is a long time. And reforms have taken place. Let's acknowledge the Afghanistan of today is not Afghanistan that was 20 years ago. Some of those reforms are very important, and they need to be protected. The role of women in Afghan national life is extremely important, and it must be acknowledged. And I speak as the Foreign Minister of a country that is Islamic. It is the Islamic welfare state of Pakistan that I represent. I'm not representing a Western country. I'm representing a Muslim, predominantly Muslim country. So, the role of women is extremely important. Having said that, today, you will deliberate on the future. Stepping into the future is the theme. You will talk about it, and I am confident that your deliberations will chart a practical way forward. As we deliberate the evolving Afghan situation, let me share with you that there is a window of opportunity for a lasting peace in Afghanistan. There is one. But this window is not there forever. If we don't take advantage of this, it'll go. And as Ambassador Jilani said, God forbid, we could be sucked back into the 90s, which we do not want. So, this sitting is at a very, very important time. Thank you for organizing it, and thank you for supporting it. The Afghan leadership has to seize this opportunity for a negotiated political settlement. Pakistan and my Prime Minister, Imran Khan, has been advocating for years that there is no military solution to Afghanistan. The only way forward is a negotiated political settlement. Many, the so-called liberals, accused him of being Taliban Khan. But today, the world is recognizing what he said years ago, when it was not fashionable to talk about a negotiated settlement. But today, I'm happy to see that there is a new international convergence around this, because the world has seen that in 20 years, the most sophisticated armies, the most sophisticated weaponry and technology could not get you peace. We've heard about the surges, the political and the military surges. And look where we stand today. So, having said that, we have to look towards the future. I also want to say there are spoilers. There are spoilers within Afghanistan, and there are spoilers outside Afghanistan. Let's not forget the fact that many have benefited from the war economy and have vested interests. And let's not forget there are many in the region who would, for whatever reasons, and this is not the occasion to go into details, would want Pakistan to be engaged in a true front situation. And I'll leave it at that for the moment. Blame game is very easy. You can start it, and we can respond to your blame game with the same force. Will it help? It will not. I, in Pakistan, am a strong advocate that will take us nowhere. I hope there is realization on the other side. And let me also acknowledge the fact that when I interact with Foreign Minister Hanif Atmar, I find him to be a very, very reasonable, educated, sophisticated man. It's a pleasure meeting him and talking to him. And let me also state it frankly and clearly, that when I read about some of the statements being made by the first Vice President and the National Security Advisor, I am concerned. So that's the balance within Afghanistan. The pendulum swings from that side to that side. So let's today sit and choose. What do we want? We've been in this blame game for decades. We can continue playing that game in the foreseeable future, but how will that help Afghanistan? How will that help Pakistan? And how will that help this region? Let's deliberate upon it. And if it does, let's continue to do it. And if it doesn't, We should stop it. And now's the time to stop it. So, in my view, many impediments. One of the biggest impediment that I see is lack of trust. Lack of trust within Afghanistan, people sitting across the table negotiating. They don't trust each other. And at times, let me accept the fact that there's a trust deficit between Pakistan and Afghanistan. Why do I say that? I say that, but in the last 3 years, as Foreign Minister of Pakistan, I've been traveling to Kabul, and I've met the leadership over there. Met President Ashraf Ghani, the Foreign Minister, and the rest. I recall clearly traveling with Prime Minister Imran Khan to Kabul in a small group. Prime Minister of Pakistan was there, I was there, Foreign Secretary was there, DG ISI was there. From our side, President Ashraf Ghani was there, First Vice President was there, Amrullah Saleh sir? Ji? He was there. He was there. National Security Advisor was there. And I think if I recall correctly, the head of NDS, perhaps was there. What were we doing there? What was the message that we carried? Please, forget the past and look at the future. Stop living in the past. We are here to build bridges, not sow seeds of sort of dissent or sort of fan acrimony. No. Trust us when we say that a peaceful, stable Afghanistan is in Pakistan's interest. Trust us. We are doing you no favor. It is in my enlightened interest to have a peaceful, stable Afghanistan, because I benefit from a peaceful, stable, prosperous, sovereign, independent Afghanistan, democratic Afghanistan. I stand to gain. The regional connectivity that Ambassador Jilani was talking about, the peace dividend that can accrue out of a stable, peaceful Afghanistan. You know, the Tapi pipeline, the Casa 1000, and the rest that follows. Pakistanis and Pakistan benefits from that. And if I can see that in such obvious terms, then why would I undermine or allow forces in Afghanistan to undermine the peace process? It is not logical. It is not logical. That is what we need to understand. What is Pakistan's objective? We want peace in Afghanistan, and we want reconciliation. Who's to reconcile? Afghans. It's your country. It's your future. The leadership of Afghanistan has to sit and reconcile. You've been fighting. Yeah. The Germans and the French and the Brits, they were fighting. But then they went into a European Union. Today they trade. They invest. They're not fighting anymore. They went to 2 world wars. The world moves on. So who is to reconcile? You the Afghans have to reconcile. 20 years of conflict, unfortunate. Innocents suffered. The economy suffered. People got maimed and martyred. For what? For what? And do we want to continue that? Is the question that needs to be talked about today. And if there was a solution, why couldn't you find one in 20 years? Despite the blaming and the finger pointing, you had the international backing, the trillions of dollars invested. Where did they go? That is what we need to sit and ponder over. Even when today a decision has been taken of withdrawal. The United States has taken a decision that they will withdraw by September 2021. In my assessment, it will take place earlier. Perhaps, and correct me, Ambassador Sadiq is here, who is more knowledgeable than I am, perhaps 50% have already withdrawn. And the process might be completed much earlier than September. But the fact of the matter is, when United States and the coalition forces were present in Afghanistan, fully in place, with their bases and everything, 40 to 45%, I mean, we can disagree with the percentage, of an area was being controlled by the Taliban. That's a fact. And if you do not accept that fact, then we're not calling a spade a spade. And today we have a new situation, and this new situation is of a complete unconditional withdrawal. So please keep that in mind when you deliberate and suggest a way forward. In my view, and the ambassador of Afghanistan has acknowledged that the peace agreement, the US-Taliban peace agreement in Doha, was a step forward. The positive role played by Pakistan in bringing them to the negotiating table must be acknowledged. Must be acknowledged. The commencement of the intra-Afghan negotiations on the 12th of September, in my view, was a positive development. I am aware of the fact that there is a stalemate and things haven't moved with the same speed as one desired. But that's a positive step forward. The agreement on rules and procedures was a step forward and a positive one. Now these are the positives. Are there concerns? Yes, there are. What are the concerns? Increase in violence is a concern. Afghans are concerned, so am I. Being your neighbor, I'm concerned. But there's a blowback, and I've suffered because of that blowback. Is the stalemate in negotiations a concern? Yes, it is. fear of reforms, social and political reforms in Afghanistan, is it a concern? Yes, it is. For many. For some of you sitting here, it's a concern. And we have to acknowledge that. God forbid, if there is no settlement, and the withdrawal obviously will take place, with or without the settlement. God forbid, we are sucked back into the 90s, and there is anarchy, civil war. Is that a concern? Yes, it is. A fresh influx of refugees, is that a concern? Yes, it is. My country has been supporting close to 3 billion Afghans for decades. We've done our best. We've been as hospitable as we could with limited resources. The international community forgot about them. The international community has been very generous. I mean, I will not overlook that, in providing assistance to Afghanistan, but the assistance required by me, by Pakistan, for the refugees. Let's discuss the numbers. And if there's an additionality, is that a concern? Yes, it is. Increase in the footprint of Daesh in Afghanistan, is that a concern? Yes, it is. And if things, God forbid, go wrong, and that creates space for international terrorist organizations within Afghanistan, is that a concern? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Pakistan as I said earlier on, and forgive me if I'm taking more time than allotted to be. Am I okay with time? Okay, thank you. Because I want to be very candid and frank. Because if you're not frank today, and if we are not honest with each other today, we will be in trouble in weeks and months ahead. That is why, please bear with me a little longer. Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, friends from Afghanistan, is and will continue to support the peace process. I want to be on record having said that. Pakistan has taken a very clear decision. Non-interference in internal affairs of Afghanistan. We have no favorites. There's a general buzz that, we are advocates of the Taliban. I am not. I don't represent them. I represent Pakistan. Taliban are Afghans. But I want you to know, and you must have noted that in the last few months, we have been inviting Afghan leaders to Pakistan, to Islamabad, and not just Pashtuns, every ethnic group. Why? To give you a clear message that we want to engage with all ethnic communities and leaders who matter, who are important for peace and reconciliation. That is why we have been inviting you and will continue to invite your leadership to achieve our common objective of peace and stability. The concept of strategic depth that at times I hear people talk about is outdated. It's outdated. Stop living in the past. Reduction in violence, as I said earlier on, is what leading to ceasefire is what we want. Resolution of issues through APAPs. We have always advocated for that, and I think we should use this mechanism more than to the extent we have. Regional connectivity is what we desire. Our government has shifted its focus from geopolitics to geoeconomics. What does that mean? It means that today we feel that Pakistan requires economic security. And for economic security, we need peace. We need peace in Afghanistan, and frankly, we need peace with our eastern neighbor. So that we have a period of stability. And in this period of stability, we can concentrate, and I speak now not as the foreign minister, I speak as the vice chairman of the party that is governing Pakistan. So that in this period, we can concentrate on economy of the Pakistan. We want to stabilize our economy. We want to promote investments. We want to promote bilateral trade. How can we do that without regional connectivity? North, south, east, west. So, we have clarity that regional connectivity will help Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the region. And the region. It's your country. You will sit and decide what kind of future you want, what kind of constitution you want. Your decisions. What we are saying is, whatever the outcomes of your negotiations, we will respect them. What else do you want from us? We will respect them. Inshallah, there will be a peaceful Afghanistan and a stable Afghanistan. And inshallah, when you achieve that, as your neighbors and friends, and we want to be friends with you, we want to help you rebuild and reconstruct. And we have a role to play there. And we can play a role. And we feel that we've hosted a sizable number of Afghans for decades. Time has come for an honorable, dignified return of Afghan refugees home. We are often accused of cross-border movement and people coming from Pakistan creating trouble in Afghanistan. And we complain of safe havens, the TTP, anchored and based in Afghanistan, coming over from Afghanistan and creating havoc here. May I suggest, hold me and my country accountable, because we're doing everything possible for a better border management. We are fencing the border. We have placements on the western side that never existed in decades. Hold me accountable when all my Afghan brothers and sisters have honorably returned home. And then, if there are movements and there's trouble, we will shoulder responsibility. When you have thousands of people, and for decades, this porous border, in and out, and I don't even want to go into the history of the Soviet era the international machinations that went along. So then can we be held accountable and more responsible for doing our bit, and we will. I believe, and this is my last point, so you've suffered me enough. I believe President Ashraf Ghani and a core group will be traveling to Washington soon. I wish them luck. I wish them a good visit. But let me spell it out in advance. If the objective of going to Washington is starting a new blame game and holding Pakistan responsible for all the ills and the lack of the process, I think it will not help. It's a shared responsibility. And nobody's going to buy anymore that if things go wrong, Pakistan is responsible. We will not take responsibility. We will not take responsibility. We are engaging with the international community, and we will engage with honesty and sincerity, because we are honest and sincere in building a peace process in Afghanistan. We've been accused enough. Enough. And I speak as a foreign minister of an elected government who has the mandate of the people, and will speak with force. We'll speak with conviction. So, my message is that you have. What is the debate going on? The debate in Afghanistan is today, there is a school of thought that says that the way forward is the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, right? And there is a school of thought that says that the future of Afghanistan is the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. That's your debate. Iron it out. And find people who can find a way forward. Afghanistan today needs leadership. I mean, it's not for me to speak for you, but I mean, as someone who's concerned, I want to say this. Afghanistan needs leadership that can negotiate a successful outcome, that can transit this country into peace, and is not worried about perpetuation, hanging on to power. hanging on to power. Individuals are important. Nations are even more important. And it is for you to determine who could those people be. You are the best judges. Pakistan wants to partner with you, with the region, and the United States to counter terrorism. Because we've suffered. We've paid a price. We've lost lives. Our soldiers have been martyred. Innocent Pakistanis, our mosques, Imam Bargahs, our bus stations have been bombed, suicide bombings. We faced that. Our economy has suffered. So, we are willing to be partners. Pakistan, and please, I'm making this statement with clarity. I, as the elected representative of Pakistan, I do not want to see Talibanization of Pakistan. How can I be more clear than that? How can I be more clear than that? Because my Pakistan is Jinnah's Pakistan. In the values that were advocated by Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah. So, find, please, time is running out, find the leadership that enjoys the confidence of the people of Afghanistan and can give Afghanistan peace. Regional powers will matter. A regional approach will matter when we are talking of peace and reconciliation. They will matter. We've just had a trilateral China, Afghanistan, Pakistan. I participated in that. I've just had a trilateral Turkey, Afghanistan, Pakistan. I was in Istanbul for that. I was in Tehran, and I've had good conversations with Foreign Minister Jawad Zarif. I'll be traveling to Turkey, and I've read an interesting statement made by President Erdogan today. I'll have the opportunity of meeting him and the Foreign Minister, Mevlut, inshallah, on the 18th to understand more about it. But please, show flexibility. The leadership of Afghanistan, if you stick to your position, and if the Taliban stick to their position, where are we going? Where are you going? Where is the region going? Nowhere. And the theme is stepping into the future. Can we step into the future without being flexible? If we are obstinate and if we do not see beyond our nose, can we step into the future? It's for you and me to deliberate. Thank you.